Now, can anybody here tell me how long it took to build Fenway Park? Anybody know?
A year.
I'll tell you exactly how long it took. It took 249 days to build Fenway Park, and they didn't need any government money to do it. So think about that for a minute. In 100 years, we've gone from being able to build a ballpark in less than 200 days to our Senate not being able to pass a budget at over 1,000 and counting. If the people who built Fenway Park 100 years ago were alive to see our sorry state of affairs, what would they think of us? Now, I have to say that this sorry state of affairs didn't begin with President Obama, but it has accelerated into overdrive under him. And if we don't elect someone else this November, it may be too late to turn the tide. So let me remind you of something he said on January 20th, 2009, which was the day he took office. He said, and I quote, "What is required of us now is a new era of responsibility." Well, I think President Obama has a different idea of what responsibility means than the rest of us. President Obama's idea of responsibility is holding other people responsible for his actions. He has spared no effort in blaming others for his misfortune, including former President George W. Bush, House Republicans, Israel, the Arab Spring, the Japanese earthquake and tsunami. At this point, I am surprised he hasn't blamed his dog Bo for the economy not recovering. But President Obama does say the darndest things. I mean, this is a man who says things would be easier for him if he were president of China. Yeah, they would, but they would be a whole lot harder for us. He also says the Supreme Court has no authority to overturn legislation that is unconstitutional. And just the other day, he said Ronald Reagan was, and I quote, "a wild-eyed socialist tax-hiking warrior." Now, it's true that Reagan thought, millionaires should pay taxes. But here's what Obama didn't tell you. This is what Ronald Reagan told the students at Northside High School in Atlanta, Georgia on June 6, 1985. Here's what the Gipper had to say. "We're trying to take less money from you and less from your parents. And whatever you and they do with this additional money will not only help you, it will help the whole country by making our entire economy stronger. Maybe you'll take some of the money and put it in the bank. Fine. You'll earn interest on your savings, and you'll also make more money available for others to borrow, to expand a business or improve their home. Maybe you'll spend it, and that's fine too. Although I hope you don't spend it all. But what you spend will increase demand for various products, and that will help create jobs. But whatever you do with it, you'll be the one who's doing the doing. You'll make the decisions. You'll have the autonomy, and that's what freedom is." Reagan went on to say, "When taxes are lowered, economic growth follows. And economic growth is good for just about everyone, especially the poor. It gives them a ladder they can use to climb out of poverty. And for those who aren't poor, but who are by no means rich, and that's most of the people in America, economic growth gives them options they never had before. When you and your parents and friends are allowed to keep more of the fruits of your labor, a whole new world of options opens up." So that's what the Gipper had to say more than a quarter century ago. So with that in mind, let me ask you guys a few questions. Let me just ask you guys. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. My train of thought got derailed. Sorry about that. So let me just ask you a couple of things. Does anyone here think President Obama wants to take less money from you and your families? No. Does anyone here think President Obama wants you and your families to decide what to do with your money? No. Does anyone here think President Obama believes in lower taxes? No. Does anyone here think that Obamacare gives us more freedom and autonomy? No. I don't think so. And I doubt Ronald Reagan would have thought so. Reagan also would never have approved $500 million going to a company to manufacture expensive solar panels nobody wanted to buy. But Obama now says Solyndra wasn't his program per se. I suppose it was little green men from the planet Zorkon who were responsible for Solyndra. Zorcon, by the way, is located in one of those non-existent congressional districts that got stimulus money. I guess those little green men took $500 million in stimulus funds while Obama was out golfing. Well, no wonder we're teed off. If President Obama were standing before me, I would ask him, Mr. President, at what point in your term do you begin to accept responsibility for the consequences of your policies? Well, I'm sure he would speak for 20 minutes without saying anything. So I say to President Obama, if you're not prepared to accept the responsibility we bestowed upon you, then we'll be more than happy to take it back from you this November. While it's true that defeating President Obama will go a long way in turning the tide, it doesn't stop there. Even if Obama is no longer president, we still have politicians in Washington and on Beacon Hill from both parties eager to collaterally spend our money. If we genuinely want to turn the tide, then the onus is on us to keep up the pressure on our elected officials. And let me end with this. Your actions don't have to be big to be important. No act is too small to matter, be it organizing a rally, writing a letter to the editor, being active on Facebook or Twitter, or even singing a protest song. A few thousand small acts are the engine which turns the tide. Thank you so much.